Good morning, everyone. Councilman Nowakowski will be joining us soon. He is the chair of this committee, but we are going to begin without him. Uh, First item is call to the public. Olaf, would you like to come up? Oh, you're on item 6? Sorry. Anyone? Here, no one? Minutes of the meeting of October 17th, 2018. Is there any corrections or a motion to approve?
Motion to approve minutes of October 17th.
In favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 2 is the consent item to enter into agreements with the United States Food and Drug Administration to accept reimbursement for police services.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to police public records process improvements.
Good morning, Mayor Williams, members of the subcommittee. With me today is Jessica Rothschild, who leads our code enforcement unit. I think you're all keenly aware, back in October of 2016, the police department entered into an advanced Phoenix Kaizen project to seek opportunities to improve our public records backlog. At that time, sadly, we were sitting at 22 months worth of backlog. But because of the hard work of Ms. Rothschild and her team, we have some good news to report today. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jessica to give her the opportunity to share that news.
Good morning, Mayor Williams, members of the subcommittee. I'm very happy to report that as of today, the 22-month backlog is down to less than a month. We are working requests from October of 2018, which is very exciting. The department received funding for additional staffs, or approval rather, for additional staffs, and hiring for these positions and recruitment is currently underway. With the hiring of the additional staffs will be the specialty teams, which will complete the formation of the customer service team, the forensic photo team, and the internal workflow team. We are also currently underway with the development of the web-based portal that will live at the Phoenix at Your Service page. The requesters will now be able to submit, track, pay for, and access their public records online. We have a tentative go-live date of March of 2019. Prior to the launch of the new portal, an educational component will be launched to include an instructional video to all requesters to show them how the new portal will work. This new portal will allow for all public records requests to be received via one entry point. Currently, we receive through various entry points. This will refine that process and improve service for everybody submitting public records requests. We've also met with the city auditor to determine a upfront fee for the police reports, and a shopping cart experience will be included in the web-based portal, which means that when the requester submits their request, they will select each item that they are requesting and pay for at the time that they submit it.
How does the 1 month stack up with other cities? Other big cities, anyway.
What we have found through our research is surrounding jurisdictions, their turnaround time is anywhere from 2 weeks to, same day service.
So we're not as good as other big cities, but we're way better than we were 2 years ago.
Way better than we were.
Can you tell me about the specialty teams you talked about?
Mm-hmm. Currently, prior to the project, we just had one group of public records or police records clerks. What we looked at were best practices in other jurisdictions and found that our closest department in size and number of requests received was LAPD. They receive about 60,000 requests per year. We average about 75,000. They have 60 staff members. At that time, we had less than 14, I believe. So what we looked at is forming specialty teams to be able to process requests much quicker. So we'll have a customer service team that will be made up of police records clerks that will serve the customers in person and over the phone. And then we will have an internal workflow team to triage all of the requests that are coming in through the portal. And then our digital media team will process the photos and videos in-house. Currently, we route them to another section.
I believe we're going to hire 12 more people?
Yes,
that
that is
okay?
correct.
And how soon will they be hired or in staffed?
With our tentative go live date, our goal is to have everybody in place by that time, which is March of 2019. We've ran several recruitments and we've hired several staff members already. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you.
Brings us to item 4, the junkyard ordinance, outdoor storage height requirements.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the subcommittee. I have with me is Ms. Trish Gomes, who's the zoning administrator for the Planning and Development Department. We have a quick little PowerPoint, and then we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. The City of Phoenix zoning ordinance does regulate outdoor storage. It is permitted in our A1 and A2 zoning districts as a principal use. It's permitted in some other districts in a smaller fashion, like Commerce Park allows it as a small accessory use, but as a permitted use over entire property, you're looking at A1 and A2 for outdoor storage. We don't have any different requirements for auto salvage versus other things that may be stored in an open manner, like building materials, those types of things. It's all considered outdoor storage from the zoning ordinance perspective. And our regulations principally focus on the impact of that outdoor storage as it relates to the public right-of-way or proximate to residentially zoned parcels. So for example, you see a couple pictures up here that show requirements of how it has to be screened. This is a solid block wall. Here's what the aerial looks like with outdoor storage inside of it here. Here's the landscaping. They're required to have 8 feet of landscaping, and this is a newer project. You can tell by the trees that are planted here. But you can see that that is how you have to treat A1 when you have it visible to the street. There is a step back provision that allows you to start stacking things up as you get further from the property line. So when you're within 75 feet of a public right-of-way, you're limited to 6 feet in height and has to be screened, but you can step that back for every 3 feet. You go back from the property line, you get an additional foot of height up to the maximum of the district, which is 56 feet. So here's a couple of examples. There's some older ones up here, Broadway and 12th Street up here that you can see on the top part of the screen there. You see the aerial showing you the salvage inside of it that's generally stacked in rows, and then what it looks like kind of screened from the public street. With that, we went through some of this. You can see that 6 feet in height is the maximum. Then you have that step back provision that I talked about. Open storage within 50 feet has to have that screening, which is the solid wall that I talked about. And you see the example of the trees and the watering system that was put in that newer example. There are a lot of older storage and salvage operations that the city inherited. They developed in the county decades and decades ago, like a lot on Broadway Road, then in Council District 8. That came into Deer Valley, has some of those as well. That came into the city, and so they don't meet those requirements because they were annexed in with meeting the county requirements at the time, which did not require as much screening and the landscaping. With that, Ms. Gomes and I are happy to answer any questions.
I have some questions. So I understand the whole zoning aspect of the junkyards. My question is more about the safety. So I'm not sure if fire can speak to that, but do we have any safety regulations for vehicles that are being stacked, just like we do with fire sprinklers? Do we have anything?
Is there somebody from fire that wants to come up and answer?
I'm not sure if that's in the ordinance or separate. I'm not sure.
Good morning. Danny Seville, Phoenix Fire Department Assistant Chief. Our fire prevention folks would have to do some research along with Ellen and the planning folks to determine if the safety aspect for outdoor combustibles would apply to the salvage yards as is being presented this morning too. So that would take some research with our fire marshal to determine exactly what regulatory oversight we have on those properties.
So if I could ask if we can do some research between development services and fire, what best practices in other cities when it comes to safety with vehicles that are being stacked, because I know a lot of the junkyards, a lot of, every weekend people are there, small children, so that's a concern of mine. So if we can just look at best practices and bring it back, that'd be great.
Vice Mayor?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mayor. I was just going to clarify, do you want us just to brief you individually, or you want us to come back to?
Sorry, come back to the subcommittee. Thank you.
Well, I guess now you have some more work to do, so thank you for being here this morning, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you.
I believe next is our legislative. Oh, I missed that item. I guess I couldn't do that anymore. Oh, we want to hear about our deployments. And do we have anybody left in town, or are they in California now?
Good morning, Mayor Williams and members of the subcommittee. I'm Assistant Chief Shelley Jameson with the Phoenix Fire Department. This is Assistant Chief Mike Duran. We're here this morning to brief you about our deployment to Hurricane Florence. We were sent to North Carolina with Arizona Task Force 1. Arizona Task Force 1 is the FEMA team attached to the Phoenix Fire Department because it is primarily firefighters. Chief Duran will take you through the deployment, and then I'll wrap it up.
Thank you, Mayor, committee members, for allowing us to talk about our task force. And first of all, I want to say I'm very proud of the members that were deployed on this mission here in North Carolina. We spent 20 days traveling throughout the North Carolina and many towns and counties throughout, assisting a lot of the community there. So very proud of the members and the work that they did. As you recall, Hurricane Florence was a Category 4 hurricane as it was in the Atlantic. As it hit landfall, it was downgraded to a Category 1. But the significance of this storm was that it met with a high-pressure system that didn't allow it to move. So it stayed for several days over the Carolinas, Virginia, and parts of North Georgia, eventually dropping about 35 inches of rain. Again, those states that were experiencing or were anticipating the devastation that they were going to be impacted by started reaching out and declaring states of emergency, which allowed for federal assistance, which is where our team comes in under FEMA. We were activated on September 10th, and we deployed on September 11th at 4 a.m. as a Type 3 45-person task force. We traveled across the country, and we arrived at Friday, September 14th at about 2 a.m., right in the middle of the storm. So pretty significant for us. Sorry. I'm going through my notes here just to kind of keep on track, so I apologize here. Some of the operations that we would be experiencing were water operations primarily for us, some structural collapse potentially, but mostly primarily water operations and some hazardous materials identification. So some of the, for us, we performed some search operations when we arrived, identification of those that had not been, the folks that weren't evacuated at the time or because of their inability to or unwilling to evacuate. We performed operations in the town of Trenton, North Carolina, where we evacuated over 80 people from that town. We had boat operations, and then we eventually assisted with the military in evacuating about 78 people in a Chinook there, so about 30 people at a time where we were pulling out. So pretty significant in that first weekend for us during the storm or after the storm. some considerations for our team as we go on these type of operations. You're dealing with different public health concerns for us. So as you can see here, decontamination is a big key operation for us as we do our daily op. That's built into our system. We have different types of animals that are native to those areas, which for us as Arizona, we're very unfamiliar with. So talking with the locals there, we gather a lot of information and intel as far as what we're dealing with. So for us, as our team, is when we take these type of missions, it's coming in through FEMA, and we're working through the emergency management, through the state as well as the county's emergency management in support of those towns there. So that's how we receive a mission, and these are all day-to-day for us. So we could be in one town, and then we can be about 100 miles away the next day. It just depends upon what the requests are from those counties and the state and the resources. There were probably, I would say there's 28 teams locally or nationally across, and we're one of the 28. So we were working with several different types of task forces. For us, we were a type 3. There was type 1 task forces with 80 personnel. There were smaller mobile mission-ready package type teams with water operations with about 17 to 20 people. For us, as we carried a cache that could support an 80-person team, we were supporting some of the smaller task forces and personnel that were there performing the same operations as we were. One of the other functions for us is our canine specialist. So we have two, as you'll see in the picture there, we have two search dogs, and we have one human remains dog that we took. So that's that's Benny, or I'm sorry, Bear, Kip, and Merlin. And for us, you know, they're very important and valuable to our task force and the mission that they perform for us in any type of searches that were needed. They do extensive amount of training, and these folks commit a lot of time throughout the year training these dogs. And so it's nice to have them with us. It's a morale booster for a lot of our folks to have them as part of the team, and they're family to us. As I mentioned, there's several partners that we work with throughout these deployments, and primarily working under FEMA, but the state of North Carolina was where we received a lot of our mission and requests through in coordination with FEMA. We work with a lot of the emergency operations centers in the counties that we spent time in. We worked with the military, as you see in the photos there. A lot of these high clearance vehicles were used, and we experienced this last year when we were at Hurricane Harvey and Irma, utilizing these type of vehicles to perform searches and rescues of the citizens out there. We worked quite extensively with other task forces that were deployed, several New Jersey, Florida, California, Texas, many throughout that were deployed with us. We worked hand in hand. We worked again with the task forces of North Carolina that were there locally, and a lot of the local fire and law enforcement agencies is where we assisted with. So not every day for us in a 20-day deployment is active missions. So for our team, they're very motivated. So we do a lot of time. We take a lot of time and do training and preparedness for potential missions that we may be experiencing. We get familiarization with our equipment. For instance, in this photo here, they were performing night operations, night air operations using Blackhawks and Chinooks. So this is more of a familiarization for us, is what would be expected. How do we load into these, the type of equipment, the amount of weight we could carry in these air assets. So it was kind of funny in the photo, we were joking about it. It says we did not all pile in there at once. This was all just a familiarization, so it was kind of like the clown car. But this was good for us, and again, it builds that relationship with the military, and should we have a mission, it wasn't the first time that we were seeing a piece of apparatus like this for our folks. To talk about a little bit of the equipment that we take with us, we had 17 vehicles, from semis, box trucks, as you see there, pickup trucks with boat trailers, smaller pickups, and vans to carry the personnel. So 17 vehicle convoy across country. A lot of safety and planning and consideration has to go into that for our personnel as we travel across. As we were experiencing in North Carolina, the storm and the flooding, that we were impacted just as well as rescuers trying to get into those areas. So a lot of planning has to be done on the front end, because you can't just take this type of equipment and just park it or just try to drive in. I mean, we were experiencing roadways where it would have taken us 2 hours normally, and we were in a 6-hour drive because of the roadways. So A lot of planning goes with this here, a lot of coordination with the state. Think about working with your Department of Transportation folks, your military, your state folks, because a lot of the information comes from them as we're traveling along. But again, we traveled over 5,000 miles. We visited and slept in about 10 different locations throughout this 20-day deployment. A part of this too is the accommodations. Again, it's not ideal, but for us as a team, we have the understanding that we are to support ourselves for 72 hours. And what that means is sleeping accommodations. As you see here, there's these mobile tents that we can carry with us. We stayed in gymnasiums, we stayed in an artillery and a hangar as well. So you're bringing in several different task forces. You could have up to 200 people in one area sleeping at one time. Again, we have to provide all those accommodations for our folks, which is meals, which MREs was pretty common for us to be eating. We take all of our sleeping gear with us, enough water and fuel for us to travel throughout that time period. Next one there. And so after 20 days, and we were demobilized, our travel back was through I-40. Along that travel back was through Oklahoma City, and for us, Oklahoma City is significant to us. It was one of our first deployments as a task force back in 1995. We were deployed after the Oklahoma City bombing of the Murrah building. We were one of the first task forces that arrived there the next day and started performing and assisting in operations with Oklahoma City and the state of Oklahoma. As you're aware, many of the folks that were housed there were federal agencies and a daycare center at that time. FEMA activated 11 task forces after that bombing. Almost 23 years later, our team was able to return and to visit the site and pay tribute as a team. But part of the significance for us is that 2 of our personnel that were deployed to Hurricane Florence was also deployed during the Oklahoma City bombings. So we had one of our structural specialists and one of our firefighters that were able to, had not been back since, and were able to go through and walk in and talk about the encounter that they had experienced there with our team. So pretty significant for us, very somber day for us, but it was the memorial is a great memorial and dedicated to those folks there in Oklahoma City. Is very well done, and it was an opportunity for us to stop in and again pay tribute as a team.
So as one of, as one of 28 teams nationally, and we are sponsored by the federal government, we receive $1.2 million a year, which we use for training and equipment. It's very valuable here in our state because our firefighters are primarily members of this team. So we are able to use this expertise every day as we respond to emergencies. Chief Duran mentioned several important facts. One of them was the interagency relationship. So when we deploy and we work with other county, local, military, and learn their structure for deploying and emergency management, it's very valuable for us here, especially because we manage Super Bowl, Final Four, large events like that. So it was tremendous when you look at how far we traveled with how many people and vehicles, not a single injury. We were able to effect almost 100 rescues. We considered it a success and want to thank all of you for your support. Morning. Any questions we can answer?
Are you in California?
Are we in California? Members of the Phoenix Fire Department are not. We have not. The city of Glendale, I believe, sent some people and some equipment. So.
Well, on behalf of council and the city of Phoenix, we're very proud of you. Thank you for what you do. You truly make a difference in this world, and it's something that should be honored and respected for all time. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Williams, members of the subcommittee.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the subcommittee, Chairman. Thank you.
All righty, we're on item number 6. See what kind of good news you have for us.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mayor, and committee members. We're presenting for you today the public safety portion of the legislative agenda for the state and for the federal. Let me introduce myself. I'm Frank McCune, Director of Government Relations. Yesenia Dott, our new Manager of State Relations, is joining us today. And Clark Prinzel, our Manager of Federal Relations, is here today. And we're going to present both. We're doing a quick presentation for you today. Just so you know where we're at in the process, this fall we've been in conversations with all our departments within the city to generate ideas and thoughts on legislation, activities, and items that we should look at for both the state and federal level. We've brought that to briefings to, as of today, we have one last council office to brief, and then all the council office and the mayor's office have been briefed for ideas. And then this is our draft document that we're taking to committee for your approvals. And then in December, it'll go to policy for your approval of the whole document. So today, this is a culmination of what departments are looking for and thinking of to date, and the feedback we've been receiving from the council offices and the mayor's office from the briefings. So with that, I'll pass it to Yesenia to start the state presentation.
Good morning, Mayor and members of the committee. So to begin with, I want to start with our guiding principles, which are to preserve state share revenues, which make up about 32% of the city's budget, to oppose any unfunded mandates from the state, to protect the city's local authority, and to preserve water resources. So as the state continues their conversations and plan for future shortages of Lake Mead and the Colorado River issues that are occurring, we want to ensure that the city continues participating in stakeholder discussions as we moved into the 2019 legislative session. And so in the state legislative agenda, as it relates to public safety priorities, the first item that we are looking at is for staff to be actively engaged in stakeholder discussions to ensure funding for police officer training is appropriated. And so this is important for the city to be able to adequately train its officers. And it's also important to note that the city of Phoenix helps train officers from smaller municipalities as well. Secondly, this is an ongoing item that we want to continue to support the 911 public safety networks. And staff requests approval for us to continue seeking additional resources in order for the city to maintain the 911 technology infrastructure. In the past year or so, the 911 system has the ability to receive text messages, so it's critical that that infrastructure is maintained. In addition, some additional items that we will actively pursue funding for during the state budget are for the Arizona Counterterrorism Information Center, the Internet Crimes Against Children, and furthermore, another item that we are supportive of is for the Arizona State Hospital to be adequately funded for security purposes and to maintain the security of the surrounding neighborhoods. Additionally, we would like to support efforts that would increase penalties on individuals that intentionally harm or kill a police working animal. And then lastly, staff recommends supporting efforts to allocate additional resources to the mental health system to monitor and participate in any discussions for legislation that may involve police in matters of care for mental health patients. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions as it relates to the state portion of the agenda.
Mayor?
On that last item for mental health services, I don't know if we receive funding for that now, but is there a way to see if we can secure some funding that would work into our mental health court and police? It's a combination we need. I think it's definitely something that is lacking in our community. I know our officers have to deal with that on a daily basis, and they go to court, and then there's no place for them to go. So if we could get some money to contract some services and the court could remand them, may help the police officers.
I have a question is, these mental health checks that our police officers are required to do, is there any way to pass it on to maybe the state or have DPS do those? Because I think that one of the biggest problems that we have is our officers are put in situations where we don't know if that person's off their meds, on their meds, and they start coming out with knives, and then you have people on both sides with two different stories, and it's just an awkward position. Or can the state, or can we advocate at the state level that there's a task force that deals with those mental health calls? Because it's really taking a lot of time off from our police officers to make these calls and then to write up those reports and stuff. So I'm wondering if at the state level we can advocate for something like that.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we've been working with Chief Williams and Maricopa Health System and other stakeholders in this process to start those discussions and work with Senator Bartow on this to have a complete discussion on this in terms of where those pass-offs happen, how they're trained, if there's more resources for our police as they're handling individuals in the process before the pass-off happens. So we are starting those discussions. We've had those discussions this summer and fall to hopefully carry that into legislation this year.
Mr. Chairman, in some of those instances, in fact, many of them, PD is making the run as a result of a court order. So the judiciary would have to be sort of brought into the conversation as well.
Perfect, thank you.
I have a question. You mentioned something about text messaging with the 911 tax. Can you go into details about that?
Yes. So it's my understanding, I believe this year, last year, the 911 system is now receiving text messages. So, for example, if there is an individual that can't make a call, either because they're not able to speak or they're in a situation where if they call the 911 system that could put them in danger, they're able to text the 911 and talk to an operator about what's going on in order to get help.
Okay. That's something new that I just learned. So if I can get a presentation or a briefing on that,
yeah,
that would be great.
Okay.
Because I don't know if we have the equipment or the capability. I'd just like to get more information on that.
I'd be happy to connect you with someone that can help brief you on that topic
Or the
as well.
police department. Also, homeless issues. Is there anything, I didn't see anything here that addresses funding for homeless issues. I'm not sure if we can advocate for more money from the state, because we are doing more than other cities around us, and we need all the money that we can. So if we can look into that, that would be great.
Well, I think about the whole homeless issue, that it needs to be more of a regional or a statewide approach. I'm hearing that there's other cities that when they catch individuals camping out, that their recommendation to their police officers are to ship them to Phoenix. And I don't think it's right that we are becoming the homeless campus for all cities within Maricopa County, that we need to really look at that regional approach, and I think more of a state approach now, because we're being good stewards with our monies and we have good programs and it's very successful. Doesn't mean we're able to handle the whole county and state issues on that. So I'm not sure how we can start that conversation. I know that the conversation is happening at MAG, but I think it needs to happen at the state level also, so we can emphasize that. That'd be great. Mayor?
Can we get a license plate that'll help fund some of these services? No. And also, when the police get a call or they're looking somebody up on the computer and it comes up, it's a repeat what's in there. does it contain information that they've either been involved in domestic violence or have received mental health services or anything? It just seems like if not, it would serve as a warning.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, it depends. It depends on what information the officers have when they've made initial contact with people. And if there are mental health issues and we're aware, we'll dock it and flag it in the system. But oftentimes we don't know that, which is why it's been important for us to sit down and meet with Mercy Maricopa and Senator Bartow now over at the state to really try to address those issues and what we can and can't put in the system because of HIPAA.
Yeah, because I'm hoping that somehow you can work that out so that there's some acknowledgement of this has had problems before. It's received, he or she has received services, so kind of a warning.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, that's a great idea. Definitely one that we're working on with Arizona State University, and I can't think right now of our service provider with mental health through Phoenix Cares. But we're trying to get people in our dispatching system that are mental health professionals that'll be able to help the officers, which could then create some dynamics where we're not running into a situation or dealing with people that we're not comfortable and competent with, and we have people on the communication side to talk people through. But we'll make a note of all these things and really look into them because those are great ideas.
It just seems like, I mean, you wouldn't give a diagnosis, but you could at least say attended sage counseling, mental health service, something, and that wouldn't make you in conflict with HEPA.
I have another question.
Councilmember Mendoza?
I took a tour of the Family Advocacy Center, and one of the things that I asked about was what can we do, right, to make some of the services better, and just the process, how can we enhance or make the process better. One of the things I talked about was when the police officers answer a call, a domestic violence call, they have to fill out a form. In this form, the questions that are asked, it has to do all with the safety of the victim, and that form is not currently in the is it the RMS system, or yeah, it's not in the RMS system. So if there's a way we can find some funding, because I know you have it on here for the Family Advocacy Center, to find some funding so we can add that form into the RMS system, because I know it costs money, but it's something that the officers need right away, and it's questions that it's life and death for some of these victims. So if we can look into that, that'd be great.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much. Oh, we have one.
If we can ask you to approve as a committee of the state.
Yeah, well,
We're going to do the state first.
Oh.
Olaf, I'm not sure if it's at the state level or you want to wait till the whole presentation. All right. Come on down. And then we'll continue the presentation after that. Sorry about that.
Good morning, Councilman Nowakowski, Mayor, Mr. Vice, and distinguished legislator, ladies and those assembled. I'm Olaf Torn Jr., First Lieutenant, Arizona Army National Guard, inactive, state and federal mission historically. I'm still in the loop, inactive also, registered nurse. I'm quite familiar with many of the issues proposed today. Department of Emergency and Military Affairs, employment of air assets, convoying of ground vehicles, fighting fires, and being a first responder as a citizen and as an emergency room nurse. I'm quite familiar with 8 years in adult psych, with the mental health system, pro and con. But don't discount the willingness of an individual citizen to step up and do the right thing. Anyone with a cell phone is a first responder. He can vector in the fire department or some cops, and he may be CPR certified, specifically if he's an armed forces veteran. He's used to doing the right thing, especially in an emergency situation, and he's first aid trained. I have been jumped coming home from cashing my nursing paycheck by 3, put 2 of them in the hospital when I was a young fit man, and I've been jumped by 4, beaten and left for dead within the last 2 years as a street pastor. And since I can't predict when these things will happen, and hopefully someone will come along and find me, because one of the times I had my wallet, or twice, and my cell phone, and I couldn't help myself, and somebody helped me. Since I can't predict these things, I don't care. I'm going to take my beatings either in a verbal discussion or as they come my way. Pastor Sarah Sadler of Grace Lutheran Church downtown runs the heat respite program in the summertime, and I got them one of your shirts on the light rail expansion, Saving South Phoenix, and she was a right fine hanger for it. She's a spokesmodel. And let's go visit her over the summer during the heat respite program, and let's bring along whoever wants to come from the council and Vice Mayor Waring. And if we can help them in any way, the more assets they have. I don't know how to shut this thing off. My time's up. This cell phone's smarter than I am. Shut up. Forgive me. It's on airplane mode. Why did it do that? I guess I'm needed at the airport. Anyways, subcommittee, ladies and those assembled, thank you for the time. I offer my services. I'm expendable.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your service.
So in the federal agenda, there are 2 guiding principles. The first, promoting fiscal sustainability, and the second, protecting local authority. So on behalf of the police department, we will be advocating for the Office of Justice program of grants. These are grants that the police department utilizes for a number of different things within the department. The COPS grant program, which the police department utilizes to hire new full-time sworn police officers, and then additional police technology enhancements, which include things such as equipping 4G cellular antennas on all patrol vehicles. On behalf of the fire department, we will continue to advocate for FEMA grants that the department utilizes. These include assistance to firefighters grants, which they use for different equipment throughout the department, and then also supporting the urban and search and rescue, which you heard in the presentation before. On behalf of Homeland Security, we will continue to support the Homeland Security grant program. These are dollars that the city receives that help the response and prevention capabilities to natural, human-caused, and terrorist crises that could occur in the city. On behalf of the prosecutor's office, we'll continue to advocate for grants for specialty courts. The city currently has 3, one of which is a behavioral health court, and continue to try to get federal dollars for that. And then on the domestic violence and programs and funding, we will continue to advocate for dollars such as those that come in the Violence Against Women Act, which some of those are received by the police department, but some of those also go to the Advocacy Center, as you were discussing, Councilwoman Mendoza, and we'll continue to advocate for those dollars as well.
Yes, Mayor?
Are there dollars for sex trafficking?
Those would be included in the Violence Against Women Act. There are a couple different programs, but one of them is the sex trafficking. That's where those dollars would come from.
Can you also list that so that people understand how important both those are?
Now, one of the things I noticed that under Homeland Security, we've been losing some of the funding in other cities back east are actually increasing their grants. Is there a way for us to maybe get our federal delegation to actually ask for our fair share? We actually do share a border with another country, and we do need we need to make sure that we get our fair share when it comes to Homeland Security grants and stuff. So I'm not sure if we can really start to push and make sure that we get our fair share.
Chairman and committee members, we're currently working with Chief Williams and then other cities along in the region so that we do a better job as a region voicing, to your point, how close we are to the border and that the needs that we have in the area with all the special events we have in Palo Verde nuclear plant and those sort of issues, and doing a better job of making sure our federal delegation is voicing that as well.
But one of the things I've been noticing is that a lot of these terrorist acts, you have the pilots that were trained here in Arizona with the trade centers, and then the Oklahoma bombing, that the U-Haul and some of the equipment were actually purchased here at Home Depot, and with the mosques and all that happened, and the member being from mosque here that actually shot down some people in the Dallas area. So it seems that those are the kind of examples that we need to let people know that that Arizona is a hot spot, and that Phoenix does need their fair share because of most of these terrorist acts has some type of connection to our city or state. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was at some meeting the other day, and they said 40% of the drugs coming in to America come through Arizona. And if that's a true statistic, I think the Fed should step up and really get us some, I don't know if it's Homeland Security or who, but contribute greatly to enforcement, to coming up with different methods to halt that, to intervene, stop it in some fashion.
Any other questions?
Would it be them, the ones who did, or?
We actually are looking into the question on the census about your citizenship. Is that something that you all handle, or?
Part of the it is part of federal. It is part of the federal agenda for another subcommittee.
Already.
So we do have that in the federal agenda that we present to.
I'm not entirely sure which subcommittee.
Yeah, but it
going
is a
to
part of the.
That's a part of it.
It's definitely part of the federal agenda.
All right, thank you.
Same, there's a number of homeless issues as well, and they'll be presented at another subcommittee.
Yeah.
And then
And these, we have some recommendations here.
I would move staff's recommendation with the addition of what's been stated here today.
Is there a second on that? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. And seeing that there's no call to the public cards left, any future agenda items? I think we have a special meeting coming up, but Council, Mayor?
I would request that we get quarterly financial reports from the
Yes.
departments.
And you're correct, Mr. Chairman. We do have a special meeting coming up later this month to deal with interviews for the Ethics Board.
Well, thank you with that. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you so much.